You are now listening to episode 9 of a self help podcast where we focus on lifting each other up and counting our blessings at the same time. We are your hosts. Hey, I'm Mia,
I'm Kiosha, and
and
this
this
is
is
Crazy
Crazy
Beautiful
Beautiful
Talks.
Talks. In the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd and all the protests around the country, we're again left wondering, what are we to say to our children about racism in America? What is too much? What is not enough? What if they're too young and we scare them? What if we're scared too? Kiosha, what do you think is an appropriate age to start teaching our children about racism?
You know what? I don't even know how to answer this question. I know when this situation happened last year, I obviously had to talk to my boys about it because I have two African American boys, one that's 18 and one that's 16. And I went straight to them and I asked them, have they ever experienced anything from cops?
Mm,
Had any negative interaction from maybe a different race that they were scared in a situation? And they told me about situations that they had never told me about before, and I had to have a heart to
yeah,
heart with them, and I had to let them know I need you to abide by certain things. If you are ever in that situation, I need you to call me immediately if you are ever in those situations. I personally still don't know if I went about it the correct way, but I know I did talk to them about it. um as far as my girls, my 6-year-old, I didn't say anything to her. My 10-year-old, I asked her if she had any questions, because I didn't know if she was too young to understand, and
hmm.
I honestly did not know what to say. What did you do?
Well, when we were taught not to teach color, and
Yes.
let the kids play. You don't teach your kids color. It just kind of comes or whatever. But when this happened, I mean, it was everywhere. It was, the question of why are people stealing, why are people looting, why are there protests, why we can't go outside, like, why. So it kind of forced me to have to talk to him. And what me and my boyfriend kind of did was let him watch the news. And then if he had any questions, explain it to him. And, you know, it was like a shock on his face. But yes, I just really had to have a serious conversation about abiding by the law and, sad to say, but where to put your hands, what to say, make sure you have identification. Like, it was a hard conversation, but like you said, I don't know if I did it right, but the point is we did it. And,
Yes.
there's a lot of kids out there that still have questions and don't know what to do. And, you know,
You're right.
may God be with them, but I'm going to make
Yes.
sure that, my child is prepared, and I'm at least talk to him and let him know that the floor is open.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I was doing some research and I came across a doctor. Her name was Dr. Asia White. She's director of PRIDE program within the Office of Child Development at the University of Pittsburgh. Sorry. But it says children are never too young to be exposed to diversity, says Dr. Asia White. The research continues to show that children recognize skin color differences at a very young age, as young as 3 months old. They may look differently at people who don't look like their primary caregiver. Like, your kid is black, and then, he's used to being around a whole bunch of dark skinned people. Then you have somebody else who's probably white or something else. And, they probably looking at him like, who the hell is that? That's because kids young as 3 months old can detect skin color.
That's crazy.
right? At the age of 2.5, children can start developing and observing racial bias they see in the world around them. Once they get to the age of 4 and 5, it's critical time when white children, for example, begin to exhibit obvious bias, says Dr. White. And Black children or children of color begin to feel discriminated against because of their skin color.
Wow.
What did you say, 2.5? No, it said 4 and 5. That is young. I can't even remember that age. And no,
I don't either. Definitely not.
In this moment, we must choose to have confidence in ourselves and in our children, that we and they can handle tough topics and tough situations. We must, as parents, understand our role is to be honest, specific, and trustworthy as we raise the next generation to confront racial injustice. We must turn to the helpers, those who have studied racism and did
Yes.
anti-racist work and protested and have actually done the work. Like, that's why we have the internet in our day and age. It's so important. There's Google. You can Google literally anything. If you have any type of question, it will have some type of solutions for you. You just have to use what we have. Use your resources.
Yes, definitely. It's crazy after reading this article and seeing the ages that our children, can feel that racial bias. And I can say for me, I have I have a rainbow of friends, and I've had difficult conversations with my, white friends about how different things makes me feel, or maybe how my children felt. I know that I have a group of friends, and I'm particularly the only Black person in that group that we hang out with. But after the George Floyd situation happened, I had to distance myself, and they asked questions.
Right.
And I didn't distance myself because them per se, but I had to say, am I doing this right? Are my friends supporting the way I think they should support? Are
Ooh.
they on? Yeah. So it put a lot of things that went through my mind and my emotions, and I had to go to them and talk to them and just express it all. It's a
Kiosha,
lot.
do you watch Blackish?
I don't.
You need to watch that because it was actually, I've just seen an episode where he was talking about how white people start asking him all these questions like, what can I do this? Can I do that? Or, it made white people start reaching out to their only Black friend, and start asking them questions that you would never ask. And it's just like, you got to go watch it, go check it out.
Okay,
Anyway.
I definitely will. Oh, Lord. So here are 6 tips from Dr. White to help parents prepare for difficult conversations and start discussions using picture books, activities, and asking questions of our children. Practice what you say before you say it. A big struggle we have when it comes to addressing racism with our children is that the conversation about race can bring fear, uncertainty, and discomfort for us parents. From school or a family member to practice will help you become comfortable with what you want to say. Try to imagine questions your child might ask and be ready to answer those questions as well.
Yeah. Amen. Like I agree. You have to, don't just go in there like, okay, what you want to know? Like,
Right? And be ready to be like, you know what?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me find out.
I will find out for you.
Let
Yeah.
me, even calling a family member, because some people are just, I don't know. I don't know what to say probably 80% of the time. I'm gonna be completely honest, especially to my children.
Who does?
I have
Right.
no idea. Beware of your own biases.
Mm.
Really, what children pay attention to is adult behavior. You can talk incessantly with your child, but if you behave in ways that demonstrate you are fearful of people of color, fearful of Black people, don't like white people, or if your children are not exposed to different races, children notice that.
Mm-hmm.
They notice your body language and they listen to what's being said around them. That's
Amen.
crazy. Like, you have to think about that. People always say, oh, that's how I was raised. You were raised to be a bigot? You were
Right.
raised to be racist? Okay, maybe you were. Maybe your family was walking around calling, Black people in words, or white people C word. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there is different things so we have to be aware as adults.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be aware in this generation of how we are, so the next generation does not have to do this.
Endure that. Amen. Amen.
Use picture books. Notice what your child might be learning about race from their favorite stories. If all the characters in the book look the same, ask what your child thinks about that. If the characters are diverse, ask something like, which character would you want to be friends with? Dr. White says you might be shocked by their answers, but try not to react with judgment. The goal is to understand what your child knows, doesn't know, and what they might already think about race. Then you can help your child learn by asking more questions and preparing yourself for more conversations in the future. Have you ever tried that? Like, even with dolls, have you ever, instead of
No.
just going to the store and assuming your child wants a Black Barbie doll, or a white Barbie doll, or a Mexican Barbie doll, or Indian Barbie doll, have you ever let your child pick out what
Pick.
the hell they want? I know with my girls, I
No.
let them pick them out and they have everything.
No, I've never done that. But I know my son has friends with all kinds of races, you know. So I don't know. I've never done that. I'm gonna try that though. I'm gonna try that.
Well, see, that's different with us though, because we have a very diverse family.
Right. We do.
So I don't think we have that problem.
Hmm.
But you never know. Ask your child how they feel directly. It sounds so simple, but it's an important step when children become aware of any kind of bad news. Children might not always know how to tell their parents or the people close to them that they're worried about something, says Dr. White.
That's true. Like I always try to ask my son, like if he goes somewhere or, been away, I just try to ask him like, how you doing? Anything happened that you didn't want to happen, and I don't know if that's like pressuring him, but I just want him to know that there's an open space and you're able to talk to me about anything. So yeah, I try to talk to my son about how he feels a lot, but you
That's
never
good.
know.
You're absolutely right. I know with
Mhm.
me, my oldest, as he was growing up, he wasn't very open with me. But since he moved out, he tells
Yeah.
me everything. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but I love it. I'm like, okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
Right.
And my 16-year-old, when it happened, he was very vocal. And, he was watching, of course, the protests on TV and Instagram and Twitter. And,
Right. It's
he
blood
was,
everywhere.
right? He was showing me different things, and I tried to keep open communication and, say what I kept an open mind and said what I thought about everything that was happening and what was right in my eyes and what was wrong in my eyes. So, you know your child best. So be aware of their emotions. Then consider asking if there's anything that they are worried about or afraid of. If your child is worried about being hurt, you can explain how you will protect them. And if they are worried about you being harmed, let them know what steps you will take to be safe. That's obvious. That's very true,
And that's
because
a big concern for, I'm pretty sure for kids, it's like, okay, well, if there's a black man out there getting hurt because he's black, like I'm thinking about my dad, what, okay, if he goes out and he gets hurt, like what's going to protect him? No one, because that's the police. You know, you have to ensure that I'm going to do what I have to do to stay safe. I'm going to do the right things. I'm not going to break the law, you know, and things like that. And you shouldn't either. And that's how we'll continue to stay safe with each other.
you're absolutely right. And I try to teach my children that there are a few bad apples, but not all cops are bad.
Right.
Not all white people are bad. You know what I'm saying? Not all white people are racist. You know,
That's
you
true.
you have to, as a parent, it is our responsibility, black, white, brown, yellow. It is our responsibility to show our children diversity. It is
Yes.
our responsibility to let the children know there are good people and there are bad people in this world. Will you be able to depict them each and every time? No, you won't.
Right.
But you have to, there, I don't know.
And we have to teach them that there are good people who sometimes do bad things.
You're absolutely
And you know, it
right.
doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. Just sometimes you make a mistake, but you can't keep making the same mistakes.
Yes. But we also have to teach them to stand up when someone does something wrong. In that case, that was something wrong. So us as a community, we had to stand up.
Exactly.
And that's it. There was nothing wrong with what happened. We had to stand up and let the world know, no, this is no longer going to happen.
And it's not okay.
It's not okay. So, particularly, she says, for black parents, it would be hard to say, well, what happened to George Floyd will never happen again. And sometimes you just have to be honest with your children and say, you will do everything you can to stay away from harm, says Dr. White. I would think that a child who has a black mom or black dad or black brother would really be worried about them. And the only thing parents can really say to children is that it's not very likely that will happen, and that we will do everything we can to make sure that it doesn't happen. That's all we can do as parents.
That's all we can do, and install our children and make sure we treat them right and bring them up right.
Yes.
And, you know.
I mean, you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You can, there's so many things that have happened, and personally,
it's out of your control.
It's out of your control. And I dislike talking about this, and I know I have to, because I am black and I have black children, and I have black family members, and but I just don't like it. But I learned that I have to use my voice. Yeah. And right now I have a platform to use my voice. So I'm going to talk about it.
Amen. Another one is install confidence in black children through storytelling. Dr. White says one of the most important things parents can do is make sure black children hear from you and others they love that their skin, hair, facial features is beautiful. This can help build confidence in the way they look. Amen.
Yes, okay. Every day. My black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. We are blacknificent. That's what I teach my children, and I will continue to teach my children that.
And another thing, we have to, as a race, as black women, as black fathers and mothers, stop calling our kids' hair nappy. Okay, let's just take that out the vocabulary. It's negative. Okay, you got some thick hair, girl. Okay,
hello, be glad you're not bald-headed.
Okay, and be confident in that. Ain't no nappiness going on. You just gotta moisturize and get enough, and I bet you it won't be.
Exactly.
Anyway, you can support that confidence with storytelling. This is the core to the work of Dr. White and the PRIDE program, simply surrounding your child at home with books, magazines, pictures, and cultural artifacts that feature Black people in a beautiful light. Okay, we have to amplify us. We have to let our children know that we are great as a
Culture.
community, as a
Yes.
culture, everything. We're great. Okay, children seeing Black people at a high statue can lead to problem solving skills, improved behavior in school, and a greater ability to remember facts and information. Reading books about Black leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Ruby Bridges can help support a positive racial identity. And diving into books that represent Black families in everyday life can be racially affirming as well.
I love this because, you know, I noticed, which I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know what type of reality shows and stuff you watch, but I watch things like I watch a lot of Bravo. So I watch a lot of Southern Charm and Summer House and The Real Housewives and stuff like that. And if you noticed on these current seasons, each one of them have a token Black person in it. I don't I
I've
don't know.
always been like that.
No. Southern Charm, I've never seen a damn Black person in there. Okay. And they had a big racial story this season. Um, Summer House, I've never seen a Black person in it. It premiered last night and there's one Black girl in it.
Well, I haven't noticed that, but I've noticed like in commercials and stuff, there's it's mixed and it's Black and it's
Yes.
not like
It's
how
not
it used to.
predominantly, yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, I
But
see
okay,
y'all.
exactly. You're trying. They're
You
trying.
tried.
I guess. I guess that's the thing. But our children need to see positive light all around. Like we're so used to different movies and storylines and stuff have the Black race in a negative connotation,
Right.
and there's not a light that there's not a lot that have that Black family that's successful and doing what they're supposed to do. Oh yeah, they're successful, but they're drug dealers.
Right.
Yeah, they're
They
successful,
fighting.
but
Right.
25 years ago they murdered somebody. You know,
Right.
so
Exactly.
it's just I don't know. We just need to, as a society, we need to get this crap together.
Okay.
You know, but yeah.
Okay. Help children begin to understand how to be an ally. Okay. With school age children, Dr. White says, you can start to have conversations about standing up for your friends and your classmates. Maybe grab your child's favorite book, ask your child what they would do if they saw characters in that book being made fun of or called names or bullied. At the end, you can have your child write out a sentence or draw a picture about how they will be an ally to whoever would need an ally, basically. This can be a step towards children thinking about what they can do as a young child who might not feel they have a lot of power, but they do.
Yes,
They
definitely.
do. My
Definitely.
son actually, I mean, it has nothing, I don't know if it has anything to do with racism, but he has broken up fights up in class. Like I've had his teacher tell me, "Yeah, I love your son. Oh, he's so um nice and I don't know, nurturing. Like he stopped his two friends from fighting. He got into
Oh
the middle
wow.
of them and everything. So, yeah, it feels good to hear things like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we have to teach the kids that it's not okay because, like, when kids are getting bullied, like, you hear about like cyberbullying and everybody knew about it, but nobody would stand up to the bully. Like, we have to
Yes.
teach our kids, like, your voice matters. Your voice can change a lot. If you had told the teacher or anything like that, you know,
You're right. You're absolutely right. You
we
are
have to teach
absolutely
our
right.
kids to use their voice.
Definitely. 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 Well, that brings us to our questions portion of the show.
Hey.
Question number 1. Does your children ask about racism?
My son, no, I mean, when the whole George Floyd thing happened and the riots were going on and the looting and stuff, he had more question about why people reacted the way they reacted. You know what I mean? Like, why are they stealing from people's, stores and stuff? Why aren't they like going into the White House and like like that? That was more of his questions. He didn't necessarily ask like, why. How about you? Did your children ask about racism?
No, they didn't. They didn't. I mean, they didn't. My son showed me things, of course, but obviously he's older and he knows, that it happens.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like me, like he's been in private schools his entire life, so he's had that diversity, but went to more of a white school. I don't know. No, they didn't ask.
And you know what? I feel like kids nowadays are learning a lot from their peers and
Yeah.
TV, and it's explaining things to where, okay, like they get it. They don't need to ask their parents anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I approached them. They didn't approach me at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. What age did you first witness racism?
So I grew up in Utah. It's weird because I grew up in Utah, so my things are different. I was in high school and I was walking to school and there was an actual KKK meeting in the backyard.
Oh my gosh.
Now, they didn't see me, so they didn't see me, so I didn't have any confrontation with them, but I heard some of the things that they were saying, and I saw some of the things that were up. And was I scared out of my fucking mind? Yes. And I just ran. And at what age did I actually experience racism? I was probably, I don't know, fifth, sixth grade. And people didn't want to be around me because of the color of my skin. I mean, 5th, 6th grade.
That sucks.
What about you?
I would want to say I was about 9 or 10 maybe. And me and my mom were actually in the mall or at a store. I don't know, something. It was a clothing store. I remember that. And we were shopping and the person who was, worked there, they just were following us around and kept asking us if we found everything okay. And it's like, my mom's like, yeah, we found everything fine. Like, if I need you, I'll call you. You know what I mean? And she just kept asking us, like, do we need help? And, things like that. And we were finally leaving because we didn't want anything. She, like, wanted to check my mom's bag, and it was just like, okay, why is this happening? There's other people in here who walked in and walked out, who has a bag, and why are we being checked on, and why you keep asking us what we need and things like that? Why are you just not letting us shop? And that's when I think my mom had to explain to me, like, she didn't explain to me like, oh baby, this
is black. Get used to it.
She like, these motherfuckers is only following us around. Okay, if it was a white bitch, you wouldn't be following.
I can see mommy. Oh my gosh.
So that's when I first came across racism. Okay.
That's crazy.
So yes, that was my experience. And after that, it was like, okay, it's going to be harder for me because I'm black. They looking at me. And after that, I was like, damn, I got to look over my shoulder and I have to make sure I do everything right. And, and if I do, I got to turn up on it one time because then they'll back up.
Yeah, right. Well, that brings us into question number 3. Tell me a time where you have been racially profiled. So I guess that was your
That was
time.
my time. Yeah.
Did you after that? Have you
Well,
ever had an experience?
oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah, I have actually in high school where it was actually me, but I was with my friends and we're shopping in the mall, and it was just like I think we went into the record store. That was when like you could listen to records and stuff like that. So I had like got a got a CD and was like, "Oh, I'm going to get this." We walking around the store and looking at different things, and it's like we wasn't ready to leave, but the security's like, you gonna pay for that, or you want me to take that to the front? We'll hold it for you. It's like, I can hold this one CD. I don't need you to take it to the front. Like, and that was the time of like, oh, this was that moment that my mother had. Like, here, take your CD, sir.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that we can laugh about it now, but in the moment, it's like, the fuck? Like, are you serious?
Horrible. Yeah.
I know for me personally, I've been in the management field for a while, and I've had a few people tell me that they thought I was like the angry Black woman, and they were afraid to approach me about different situations because I was Black and I'm a woman, and so naturally I'm the angry Black woman, and I'm gonna have an attitude about everything, and I'm gonna have a concern about everything, and I'm gonna raise hell about everything. And if you knew me, that's not even fucking me. Like,
right, exactly.
At
the
all.
Total opposite.
But that has me all the time. When I tell you different like events and different things that I do, people automatically assume I'm that big angry Black woman, and that shit gets on my nerves.
It is. That's annoying.
Like, that's very, very, very annoying. So we have a question for our viewers. Okay. Is there anything in your life you wish you can just release?
Ooh. And you can answer this on our Facebook page, Crazy Beautiful Talks, or our group page, Crazy Beautiful Talks, and that's a private group. So you have to, answer a couple of questions to get into our group. We ain't just letting anybody in, okay?
Yes. Our next episode is starting our Mindset March, and we are releasing next week. So hopefully you are ready with another episode of Crazy Beautiful Talks.